The following is a production of Neural Network Media and is completely AI generated. It is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Welcome back to the barn here in Maine. I'm Will Sterling, and honestly, looking at the headlines this morning, I just have to ask, what is going on here? We're coming off a heavy Monday where we talked about those exonerations in the Austin yogurt shop case and the tragic loss of James Vanderbeek, but today, the institutional rot is it's on full display, Ashley.
It really is, Will. It's like the masks are finally slipping. And not just in the way the ruling class intended. We've got a solid show today, a lot of developments in the courts, and some reality checks for the woke corporate world. But let's be real, the common sense is fighting back.
It's fighting for its life, literally. And think about it, the first big blow for sanity came straight from the Supreme Court yesterday. They issued a 6-3 emergency order smackdown on California's attempt to turn schools into secret societies. I mean, really, Governor Newsom signed AB 1955 back in 2024 to stop schools from telling parents if their child was transitioning, and the high court just said, no.
Exactly. They revived an injunction from Judge Roger Benitez, who honestly is one of the few people in the judiciary who seems to remember what the Constitution actually says. This case, Mirabelli versus Bonta, it was brought by the Thomas More Society, and they were representing parents and teachers who were essentially being told, lie to the families or lose your job.
Right. And think about the logic they used to defend this in Sacramento. According to the California Globe, the state was arguing that if you tell a parent their child is using different pronouns, it's a safety risk. Like the state is the only safe place for a child. Why are they doing this? They want to break the nuclear family. That's the frame. They want the child's primary loyalty to be to the institution, not the home.
Oh, absolutely. It's the victimhood industrial complex in its purest form. They want to convince kids they're oppressed by their own parents so the state can swoop in as the hero. Let's be real, a 10-year-old cannot buy a beer or get a tattoo, but the state thinks they can fundamentally alter their identity without a phone call to mom? Excuse me?
It's bizarre, but it's a victory. The Thomas More Society is calling it a landmark moment for parental rights. And, I mean, literally, it's about time someone stood up to Newsom's Secrecy Act. But while we're talking about things being hidden, Ashley, the House Oversight Committee just dropped a bomb regarding the understanding between Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, the understanding. Here's the reality. They released nearly 9 hours of videotaped depositions yesterday. This is the first time a former president has been subpoenaed for this case. And Bill sat there for over 4 hours trying to explain why he was on that plane.
And what was his excuse? Let me guess, he was helping people.
He literally said, and I'm quoting from the reports by the NPR and the House committee, he said, I thought we had an understanding about the airplanes that he would let me use the airplane to set up my AIDS programs if I agreed to talk to him for an hour about economics and politics.
They hate you. They think you are so stupid that you'll believe a former president of the United States couldn't find a ride to Africa without Jeffrey Epstein.
It's insulting. Well, it's pure political theater to think that the public is going to buy the economic chat defense. But what's even more chilling while we're looking at these tapes is what's being reported about Operation Arctic Frost.
Right. This is the Jack Smith connection.
Right? It's a covert surveillance program run by the former special counsel, and it wasn't targeting terrorists, it was targeting U.S. lawmakers. While the public is being fed these Clinton tapes, Operation Arctic Frost shows that the Department of Justice was potentially spying on members of Congress.
Right, think about it. This is the ruling class playbook. They give you a little bit of transparency on a case from 20 years ago, while they're actively using the intelligence apparatus to monitor their political enemies in 2026. Why are they doing this? Because they're terrified of anyone they can't control.
Exactly. It's a two-tiered system. One for the protected class, who gets to fly on Epstein's jet and talk politics, and another for the lawmakers who dare to challenge the regime and get their emails read by a special counsel. Life is hard. Get a helmet, because the people in charge aren't even trying to hide the corruption anymore.
And it's getting dangerous on the streets because of this same institutional rot. We have to talk about Virginia and Governor Abigail Spanberger, because this story is it's heartbreaking. A 41-year-old mother, Stephanie Minter, was murdered at a bus stop in Fairfax County, stabbed in the neck. And the suspect is a man who should have been deported years ago.
30 arrests. Well, 30. According to the Justice Department and local reports, this guy has been arrested for rape, malicious wounding, assault, and he was in the country illegally since 2012.
And think about it, a judge ordered him removed in 2020. But he stayed here, and then Governor Spanberger signs an executive order terminating all cooperation with ICE. She literally ended the 287G agreements on February 4th, and less than a month later, a career criminal with 30 arrests kills a mother in broad daylight. Why is he still here? Because the ruling class values the sanctuary of a predator over the life of a citizen.
It's the sanctuary mindset. And it's a cancer. They frame it as compassion, but who were they being compassionate toward? Not Stephanie Minter, not her children. They're being compassionate toward a man who has spent over a decade victimizing people. I'm sorry, but if you have 30 arrests, you don't get compassion. You get a one-way ticket out.
Right, but the ruling class calls that racist. It's a crazy world. And Ashley, it's not just Virginia. Breitbart is reporting on these South American burglary gangs in Michigan. They're coming in from Chile and Colombia on tourist visas and literally just robbing high-end neighborhoods.
It's burglary tourism. Cops in Kent County just nabbed another crew. And honestly, why wouldn't they come here? We've signaled to the world that our borders are wide open, our police are handcuffed, and our jails are revolving doors. It's a business model for international crime rings at this point.
It's literally a growth industry. Before we get back to the analysis, let's deal with a hard reality. Real independence isn't free. This entire network, from this show to our flagship, The Neural Daily, exists because one man, Eric Christensen, decided to build it himself. He didn't ask for a government grant. He invested his own capital and technical expertise to architect a media platform that respects your intelligence. If you value that kind of meritocratic building, back it up. And don't limit yourself to just the politics. Get the full strategic picture by subscribing to the Neural Daily and the rest of the network. Support the builder, and you support the mission.
And speaking of supporting builders, let's talk about a builder who actually stood up for his customers in Ann Arbor. The Smoothie King incident.
I love this story. This is the market correcting itself in real time.
It's fantastic. On Sunday, 2 employees at a Smoothie King in Michigan refused to serve a couple because the husband, Jake Lindemeyer, was wearing a pro-Trump hoodie. One of the employees actually recorded herself saying, "Trump discriminates against us, so I don't feel comfortable serving you."
I mean, really? You're a revolutionary because you won't blend a strawberry smoothie for a guy in a hat? Think about it. These kids have been so brainwashed by the victimhood narrative that they think basic commerce is a political battlefield.
Exactly. But Smoothie King Corporate didn't have time for the resistance. By yesterday, both employees were fired. The company said the brand is inclusive, and that means you serve everyone, even people you disagree with. Will, you've been saying for a month that corporations are retreating from this woke stuff because they're terrified of boycotts, and here it is.
It's happening. They realize that the anti-Trump crowd doesn't buy enough smoothies to offset the loss of half the country. But actually, the bias is still baked into the tech. The Daily Caller just put out a report showing how AI is quietly punishing faith-based businesses.
Right, the algorithmic shadow ban. The AI flags religious language or traditional values as hate speech or misinformation, which then kills their reach and their revenue. It's a silent execution of the Christian marketplace.
It's a digital ghetto. But interestingly, the Pentagon is starting to wake up. Reports are saying the military is looking at non-woke AI like Grok for their systems because they realize they can't win a war with an AI that's more worried about equity than identifying a threat. Can you imagine the drone pilot having to attend a DEI seminar before the AI will let him lock on a target? Why are they doing this? Because reality eventually hits the ruling class, and in war, reality is everything.
Strength is the only thing that matters in the real world, and these neutrality-first platforms are the only ones that will survive the next 5 years. But Will, we have to look at how the ruling class is spending our money while they're failing at everything else. Let's talk about the California bullet train.
Oh boy, here we go. The $126 billion disaster. Literally.
$126.2 billion. That's the new projected cost for Phase 1, San Francisco to LA. When the voters were sold this bill of goods in 2008, it was supposed to be $33 billion, and it was supposed to be finished by 2020.
It's 2026, 6 years past the deadline, and they've spent $15 billion. And actually, how many miles of track do they have?
2,000 feet.
Stop, 2,000 feet. I can throw a rock 2,000 feet. Why are they doing that? That's $7 million per foot. They're literally paving the ground with gold. And the best part, the High-Speed Rail Authority released a business plan bragging how they saved $1.7 billion.
Streamlining! They're $90 billion over budget and they want a pat on the back for saving less than 2%? It's insulting. They think we're mathematically illiterate. And honestly, the timeline is even worse. Merced to Bakersfield, the essential part, is now pushed to 2033. Phase 1 isn't expected until 2040.
I'll be 80 years old by the time that train leaves the station. It's a transfer of wealth from the taxpayers to the consultants and the unions. That's all it is. And while California is burning billions, the U.S. Department of Labor is having its own little scandal. Misconduct investigations, travel fraud, and the secretary's husband is being banned from the building? I mean, really?
It's a mess. When the secretary's own aides are being placed on leave for workplace drinking and fraud, it tells you everything you need to know about the standards in D.C. right now. They treat the federal government like a private club where the rules don't apply to them.
It's the arrogance of the bureaucracy. They feel untouchable. But we did get a win in New York, and I want to touch on this because it's a big deal for the rule of law. Justice Alito, of all people, just blocked a state court from redrawing Nicole Maliotakis's district.
Right. They were trying to claim racial gerrymandering because it's a Republican-held seat in New York City. They wanted to force a crossover district to favor Democrats, and Alito called it out as unadorned racial discrimination.
Right. It's the Equal Protection Clause. You can't just redraw maps based on skin color to get the political result you want. That's a massive win for 2026, and it shows that, at least on the high court, the Constitution still has some teeth.
It's a backstop against the regime. Same with the Second Amendment. SCOTUS is actually asking why the government can strip gun rights away from marijuana users, even in states where it's legal. It's about consistency. You can't have rights that the government can toggle on and off based on whatever lifestyle they approve of this week.
Right. Exactly. You could smoke the weed, but if you want to defend your home, that's a federal crime. It's a crazy world, but we have to get to the main story today. And I'm warning everyone, this one is infuriating. It's the Sacramento school counselor case.
This is institutional failure at peak. Well, let's be real. Won-Young Kim, a counselor at Charles Peck Elementary, is facing 10 counts of child sex abuse, and it's horrific stuff. But the real scandal, if that's even possible, is what the school district is doing right now.
Think about it. He's arrested in February of 2025. He's in jail, and as of yesterday, March 2nd, 2026, he is still on paid administrative leave. I mean, really? The San Juan Unified School District has paid this man $70,000 of taxpayer money while he's sitting in a cell facing child abuse charges. Why are they doing this?
Because of contracts and due process. The same things they ignore when they're trying to silence a parent at a school board meeting. Reports from the civil lawsuits, which just hit the fan this week, allege that the district was warned. A 10-year-old student was reportedly forced to sit on his lap multiple times, and the school did nothing.
Right. They did nothing for the kid, but they're doing everything to keep his paycheck coming. This is the same California that just tried to sue parents for wanting to know about their kid's gender identity. The same state that claims they're the protectors of children, and yet they're cutting checks to a guy facing 10 counts of sex abuse. They hate you. They literally hate your family.
It's a lack of basic standards. They've completely abandoned the standard of care for children in favor of protecting the bureaucracy. If a private school did this, they'd be shut down in 24 hours. But because it's a government institution, they just hide behind the process and hope the public doesn't notice the $70,000 bill.
It's the frame of the state as parent. They want to be in control of the child's identity, their health, their education, but when the state's own employee turns out to be a monster, they wash their hands of the responsibility. It's a Crazy World Chronicle story, along with the Houston Rockets honoring a strip club and the View hosts literally screaming into the air on live TV because they're stressed.
Oh, the primal screaming. Did you see that? Elizabeth Hasselbeck came back to the show and they all just started screaming because of the strike in Tehran, as if that's a substitute for actual analysis. It's a total breakdown of decorum from the elementary school to the television studio.
It's the era of the unhinged. No standards, no common sense, just raw emotion and bureaucratic protectionism. But that's why we're here in the bunker, to point at the train wreck and say, hey, maybe we shouldn't be paying $70,000 to child abusers. I mean, literally.
It's a radical idea, Will, not paying predators, but somebody's got to say it. Life is hard. Get a helmet and get your kids out of these systems if they won't even guarantee their safety.
Amen to that. Well, that's a busy show for a Tuesday. We'll keep tracking the bullet train to nowhere, and hopefully we'll see some more common sense from the Supreme Court. I'm Will Sterling.
And I'm Ashley Thorne. This is The Neural Right. Stay fearless out there.
And keep asking questions, even if you have to ask them.